All right, what is up, Utes fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and it is good to be here today. Huge win last night for the Utes. Big time game. You know, a lot of questions heading into the game, and a lot of those questions were answered. So definitely a really exciting win, and definitely one that I felt really good about. I mean, first off, how about that freaking defense? Huh, guys? How about that freaking defense? Jordan Brown says, good win. Yeah, absolutely. Good win, dude. Good win. How about that defense, though? I feel like that defense was called out, was, borderline lambasted for the way these first two games went and how they looked, or at least in the Florida game. And to have so many concerns about how they handle playing teams that want to run the ball. For them to answer the bell like that was really impressive. I think they did a really good job on defense getting it done. Larry says here, what a game. First quarter, Utah ran a vanilla offense. Yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that in a little. Good to have you here, Larry. As you guys come into the video, please do make sure you guys like the video. Helps get it out to more Utes fans. Also, join the chat. Jordan Brown says D was solid. Seriously, guys, my favorite part of these live streams is getting to interact with you guys and chat a little bit. And if you do feel so inclined, please do drop a super chat. That would be awesome. And I will spend a little extra time on your question. But outside of that, D looked really good. There's players that I want to give shout outs to. I'm going to start with the positives, and then I'll start to talk about some of the guys that still have concerns. First off, this isn't defense, this is offense, but I'm going to talk about Solomon Enis. Now, if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I've kind of been a bit of a hater on Solomon Enis, and not to be a hater. It was just, I definitely called him out in the pregame. If you guys watched that, and definitely grilled him a little bit. But if you guys watched that game last night, he had 3 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown, which isn't crazy, but I did feel like they were big plays when they happened, and that Solomon really stepped up to the plate and looked pretty damn good. So, obviously we want to see him follow it up as we move forward. But either way, just a big shout out to Solomon Enis. I'm glad he kind of proved me wrong there and looked pretty good. Let's hope he follows it up next week. Looked great, though, after the catch and in the red zone. I was really impressed with how Solomon Enis was looking. So definitely a guy that I thought did a really good job. Another guy, let's stick with the offense for a minute here. Jalen Dixon, really versatile playmaker. He had that end around the 22-yard. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at here as I look at the stats. So that way, if I brush over any of them, you guys can see what I'm looking at. So Jalen Dixon had that really good end around run for 22 yards. Really nice play. Also, what I'm going to do is I am going to put the link to the stream in the chat. If anyone does feel so inclined to hop on the video for a couple minutes and chat a little Utah Utes football, I am more than happy to have you on. I know not everyone's interested in showing their face on YouTube, but if I could do it, you could do it. But and definitely don't feel obligated. But if you would like to come on, I'd be more than happy to have you. Just make sure you have a decent internet connection. But Jalen Dixon, can we get him a little more involved, dude? Look at that. The one play the guy gets, it's a huge play, right? And then he had another reception for 13 yards. Honestly, that's, for me, it's a big deal for us to start getting him more involved as the game goes forward. Jake Luker. I forget. I know who you are, Jake. Good to have you back, man. I'm getting really frustrated by the play calling on offense. Taekwon up the middle didn't work until that one drive in the third quarter. I wish they'd open up the playbook and add more variety. Well, Jake, I think that's kind of a double-edged sword there. I think that we do a really good job with a lot of the tools we have on offense, and part of that comes from our ability to make them commit to the up the gut runs, right? I get where you're coming from and how that can be frustrating, but part of it's like a boxer in a ring, right? You got to throw jabs, right? You got to keep throwing jabs because eventually those jabs are what open up the receivers and open up the tight ends over the middle. And that's how I always look at inside runs. Like, yeah, if they pop off for 5 to 10 yards, that's awesome. And a lot of the times they do for the Utes because we run the ball so well. But I would say, Jake, that a lot of it is trying to loosen up other things. And I get what you're saying. There were times where it felt like we were a little excessive, but I do think against that team, it was really important that we had them, back out of the box by throwing the ball, but then also get them to still commit to the run. All right, CKS says D much better. Offense pretty sloppy first quarter. O-line very sloppy first quarter. Oh, look, it looks like we have Larry Pilgrim on the chat. Let's bring him on. Hey, Larry, how are you doing today, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good. It's nice that we've talked a lot through the chat. It's nice to finally see you in person, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, so that was just crazy. You could see that we weren't opening up the playbook, but I think we were just trying to keep it vanilla, see if we could just beat them head up and not, give any inclination for games coming up. So that's why I think they kind of went vanilla, and then I think Whittingham finally was like, you know what, we're gonna have to do something else because the tree route changed major. If you noticed that.
You mean like the route tree?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Completely. Because they were just trying to pop the top off and run some easy stuff. But so anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Is that your backyard, Larry?
Yeah.
You're in Florida, right? I believe you said. Man, what a backyard! You're living a life out there.
It's pretty nice. It's a golf course right there. So.
Oh wow, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
That's I definitely agree. I felt like there was more getting different. I don't know how much the route tree changed. I wasn't keeping an eye on that. Maybe it did, but I thought I feel like a lot of time we exclusively leave the middle of the field as a tight end area, right? It's like get the tight ends in the middle of the field, let them create space there. And it did feel like last night we gave Vele and Enos opportunities to get open in the middle of the field, which we don't always do because we really want to leave it for the tight ends. And I feel like that's what changed the game for the receivers. Did you feel like you saw big improvement from our offense being able to connect with receivers? Or did you think that was just kind of a one-off?
No, I think they forced us to go out because some of those catches and throws were pretty amazing to our tight ends in the middle. I mean, those were tight windows. How many catches did Keithy have that a guy had his hands or his body within 4 inches? So
you remember that one where he like throws it like rising through it to his back shoulder as he's coming across the middle? And it's like, if that's not Keithy, there's probably 4 other guys in the country that make that catch.
Well, remember he did that to Fotheringham last year, and he fell down, and Arizona State picked it off. Exact same play.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a good throw or just too much faith in Keithy.
So I think San Diego State they committed to take away the edges and made our wide receivers win, and they finally won. So, but I don't think we would have got that if Ludwig hadn't kind of changed up the route tree. We didn't see a lot of drag routes, which is kind of weird. Did you notice that? We didn't have a lot of slaughter under drag routes.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, we didn't. I felt like it was more ins and out routes and just like deep ins. I feel like I saw deep posts and deep ins hit really well last night. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and the other thing too that I think if we can get it down, and at the Florida game, many of these games, if we can get Cam and some of our receivers on comeback routes. Remember how Drake London was so in sync with Slovis on the.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how many that one that he threw to Bernard and he was covered. I mean, I'm not seeing any comeback routes, which is just strange. You would think they would have some of those, but I just don't see comeback routes ever.
That's true. I wonder why that. Honestly, I think Vele looked like Enos looked awesome last night, but I thought Vele looked smooth, right? Like even on the kick return, that little juke move. Do you remember that one on the punt return? I mean, oh man, that was nasty. That was quite a juke.
And that touchdown he caught. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that throw from Cam, it was a scary throw. That little back foot, just lob it up, but it was probably the most accurate back foot throw that I can imagine. I mean, it was right where it needed to be, perfect amount of hang time, and Vele just got it in the end zone. That was awesome.
Yeah, so it was nice to see them finally open up the playbook for the receivers. I think Cam was forced. I really think he was forced by the way San Diego was just. I mean, they had 4 guys in the middle of the field from 10 to 20 yards deep.
And do you think you think it was a Cam thing, a Ludwig thing? I mean, what do you think's been preventing it so far, Larry?
Well, like Whittingham said, and I believe it, that we've got 2 matchups that are just, until you can stop those guys, we're just going to go to them. It's just, you look back at other teams like Drake London. I mean, it was, even though you knew that guy was going to get it, good luck stopping him. So I think that's what we're doing. And so I think that's why we haven't seen it, because Kincaid and Kuthi are just such matchup nightmares that why would you need to go anywhere else?
Yeah, that's true. They actually, like, I mean, you look at the numbers don't look bad for those two. Like Keithy, 5 receptions, 64 yards, and Kincaid, 3 receptions for 38 yards, which isn't bad. But I feel like when you consider what our like usually, like both the first 2 games, we've had one of those two go over 100 yards. So I feel like when you look at that, that is kind of, quote unquote, stopping the tight ends when it comes to Utah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was an awesome game. It was an awesome game. I hate the slow starts, but
I know. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that, Larry. What do you think about that? Why is that happening? Why is it every game where we're looking just rocky? Like, honestly, I'm sure you guys in the chat and, chime in, and Larry, you could probably chime on this too, but it felt like I got concerned for a minute when I was watching the beginning of that San Diego State game. It wasn't like red alert concern, but I was thinking like, oh, like, why don't we look better against San Diego State?
Yeah, I think my biggest concern was, I think the game plan was, a chess match, come out, but my concern was the offensive line. They looked horrible. I mean, Cam was running for his life. They couldn't open the hole. And so, that was my biggest concern of the first quarter was actually, I don't think we've seen anything quite as good or as bad as Utah was in the first quarter on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And
I think their defense was pretty good at stopping the run, though. I was pretty impressed with what they were doing, like those stunts. And then it wasn't even physicality. It was physicality mixed with like really good schemes. Like the D line was moving a lot, and it was really confusing for our offensive line. But I also think we should have a really good offensive line. So I would have appreciated us doing a little better. But hey, Larry, it's been awesome having you on, man. I'm going to drop you off, but come on again, man. It's nice actually getting to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks, Josh.
Have a good one, Larry. Bye. All right, and then with that, Jake L says, I was very pleased with the evolution in the passing game, 200 plus pass yards, 4 pass TDs for Rising, his career best, and the wide receivers getting some good catches. Yeah, Rising was very impressive once he got going. And if you guys could, if you haven't already, please do like the video. It helps go a long way. Awesome having Larry on there. Anyone else that does want to hop on, I will drop the link back in the chat. If anyone else is interested, more than happy to have you on and hear your thoughts. Yeah, really good game by Rising once he got the ball rolling. It was like there was a point, they put it up on the TV. Do you guys remember this? He was 4 for 13 for like 39 yards. It was a terrible start. Like you were real concerned about Rising for a minute there. And then all of a sudden, he just went off. And you know what I loved about this game that I don't feel like anyone's really talking about is that Cam Rising, he did it with his arm. Like he had a nice run or two every now and then, but I feel like Cam Rising a lot of the time really relies on his legs to be able to make plays. And this time he really just started just airing the ball out, having confidence in his guys. Like even the throws he was missing, if you guys remember, like the what's it called? The like sideline throws where he just aired them out for his receivers. Like even tight coverage, his throws were really nice and they didn't always hit, but it was just nice to see him really start to rely on his arm. And the stat line for Cam, the touchdowns look great. The 224 yards, 4 touchdowns, 18 for 30. Like the numbers aren't wild, especially that completion percentage doesn't look great. But my main thing with Cam was just how fluid he looked once he got going, right? Larry says Rising was pretty accurate, very impressed. Yeah, it was like once he got comfortable, it was just awesome. Like honestly, so much of that bad completion percentage is the beginning of the game. Like think about that, 4 for 13. So 4 for 13. So that means 9 of his incompletions were in the first quarter, or whenever before it started to click. And then it's like that means that second half, Cam only had 3 incompletions. And I mean, he had like a 80% completion percentage the rest of the game. So that was really awesome. Definitely a guy that I was really impressed with. I should probably put his name up here since I'm talking about him. But Cam Rising really looked good. I thought we saw parts of his games that we had questioned. I still don't love the slow start, but really, really great guy. I mean, I feel like if you're a Utes fan, I know it was San Diego State. I know they're not a premier team, but if you're, Larry said, sorry, I said Josh, Joseph. No, I noticed you said Josh. That's okay, Larry. Don't worry. Yeah, it's Joseph, just so you guys know. But with that, I thought Cam Rising looked awesome once he started clicking. And I really feel like if you're a Utes fan, like probably everyone here is, you should have a little extra confidence going into league play for the Pac-12 about what Cam Rising is going to look like. He was pretty dang awesome. And if you guys want, we can start. We have some defensive statistics as well. Cole Bishop. You know what's weird to me is he doesn't. I notice in that press conference, I don't know if anyone's watched that. There was a press conference after the game where Kyle Whittingham was talking about players, and he was talking about how his corners are like great. And then he was talking about Cole Bishop, and he was like, yeah, Cole Bishop and Hubert are solid. And to me, I was like, yo, Cole Bishop, in my opinion, is a little more than solid. I'd say he's pretty damn good. Like, I mean, if you're counting Cole Bishop and Hubert together, maybe that group is solid, but Cole Bishop's pretty damn good, dude. Tat says the Manning camp, I think, really helped Cam. Yeah, maybe it did. I think he looks, I don't know, something about last night's game gave me flashbacks of Cam at his peak last year. So that got me pretty excited. Cole is an animal. Talking about Cole Bishop, Cole is a beast, dude. Cole is one of my favorite players in this team. Not that he doesn't need to do better, but he's one of my favorite players in this team. Let me go ahead and put this back up on the screen here. So taking a look at these defensive statistics, I just highlighted them. Another guy that I thought really impressed me last night and for me started, it was a guy that had a lot of ups and downs last year, kind of all over the place, right? But I really think he impressed me last night. Let me put his name in here. I forgot to add him. Boom. All right. Karine Reed. So this guy definitely stepped up last night. I know the numbers don't look wild, right? The 4 solo tackles, 1 assist, and then half a sack and 1.5 TFLs. I mean, those are pretty damn good numbers. But I felt like the eye test for Karine Reed last night, really solid tackler, just looked ready to go. He was meeting guys in the holes. He wasn't getting juked. He looked very solid. Kane Savage looked very green, says Larry. I don't really remember watching Kane Savage too much. Not that I disagree with you. I don't really remember seeing him. So outside of that, though, so I won't touch on Kane Savage, but I'll keep an eye on it. Larry says, any word on CP3? Haven't checked this morning. So from what I understand is when they asked Kyle Whittingham about CP3, he said, I'm not going to touch on that. I don't comment unless it's season ending. I think that was about CP3. He said that about. I don't think there's any update on his injury. Hopefully he's all right. But I would imagine the good thing is we head into conference play, and the beginning of our conference play is Arizona State, and they're not exactly firing, like they're not exactly looking amazing right off the bat. And so I wouldn't stress too much. If we do have to see Clark Phillips miss a game, that would not be a terrible game for him to miss. But I would say until we hear otherwise, I would imagine Clark Phillips is going to be out on the field. All right. And then CKS says, it is good seeing some of the younger guys getting in. Feel horrible about Curry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. So Chris Curry really felt like this year he was starting to, get into his own and look nice. Really just got 1 carry, 8 yards, was spinning off tackles, was really looking solid. Chris Curry looked really good in the first couple of games. Witt touched on it a little bit that, Chris Curry is a guy that has another year of eligibility. So as much as tragic and heartbreaking to see him not be able to play the rest of this year, he will be back next year and he'll be just fine. I really think we saw great things from him though. So that is sad to see. And, but I did talk about it yesterday in the pregame, knock on wood, but we have such a good running back room that if one of these guys does go down, we still have 3 other really good running backs. Like, I feel like there's not one guy where I would feel like if they go down that we're just screwed, right? Like even Taekwon, like I think Taekwon's the main guy. Like, there's a reason we see the guys just crashing the middle to stop Taekwon. It's because Taekwon's very good, very talented. And I just posted the link in the chat again, guys. If anyone wants to hop on a video chat, have a little fun, it's real, just casual. Talk about the Utes, talk about what you saw. I'd love to have you on. You're more than welcome. Just make sure you have decent internet. And if you guys haven't already, please do like the video. It goes a long way in helping get this video out to more Utes fans. Also, comment in the chat, engage the discussion. That's my favorite part of these live streams. And if you are a Utes fan and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. This, in my opinion, this is the best source for Utah Utes football there is. I know there's other channels, and I think they do a great job, but I don't think they spend as much time going over the analytics, going over the stats, going over the PFF grades as we do here on this channel. So outside of that, let's move to the next guy. Karine Reed, like I was saying, looked great. Looked really solid. Another guy that stepped up yesterday was VanVillinger. To me, I haven't looked at his actual stats, but let's take a look. 2 tackles, 1 solo tackle, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 TFLs. That's great stats for a defensive lineman. Those are fantastic. And I think VanVillinger was a guy we were all really hyped on. And I think that game really showed up. Now, I do want to just do a quick disclaimer about the defense. The defense looked insane last night. They really looked awesome. I also think San Diego State's offense looked terrible. Like their 3rd string quarterback was in and their 1st string quarterback didn't look good. Like they look like they have some real problems on offense. So I think you got to take everything with our defense from this game with a grain of salt. Like if they look like any real, like kind of meet in the middle, right? Like part of that was our defense looking great. Part of that was their offense looking really, really bad, right? And not to say that I think San Diego State's a solid program, but either way, right? You'd like to see better. You'd like to see our defense do better against better competition, if that makes sense. All right. We talked about Jalen Dixon. We talked about Devon Vele. Looked like a beast. Devon was really 3 receptions. Isn't that funny? 3 receptions, 38 yards for Devon and 2 touchdowns. Awesome stat line. I love that these 2 got involved. Same with Enos. 3 receptions, 35 yards, 1 touchdown. That really has to make you feel a little better about how these receivers look. Tat says Crum is a freshman, deer in the headlights. That was their quarterback. He really did. He could run the ball, but I think he was really just more of a runner in general, and we were forcing them to throw the ball. I think kind of what happened with them is they realized early in this game, once we got clicking and once our defense was tearing them apart, that it was kind of over. I think they started waving the white flag kind of early. I know that sounds bad, but I really think that's what happened. They started just rolling the dice with this kid. And it was kind of like, go get some experience, let's plan for the future. Boom. Taekwon Gilmore was another guy. I don't have his name queued up, but Taekwon Gilmore with the fumble on the on the punt return, that was rough. You definitely don't want to see the fumble on the punt return, but I do want to say before he fumbled, he looked really nice on that punt return, was breaking tackles. So hopefully as he starts to, one thing I've noticed about Taekwon in the reverses he's gotten, that sort of thing, that I would really like to see him focus more on going north-south than east-west, right? He really needs to focus more on being vertical and getting yards off the runs rather than just trying to make a play and going east-west. So one of my, I loved him when he came on the show. Really nice guy, but you can tell he reminds me a little of Tavion last year, right? With Whittingham, where it's like he's kind of rock and he's just coming up from JUCO. And they're trying to find ways to make him a great player and kind of work him in here, so when we get into conference play, get to midseason, he's kind of a weapon, but he's still a little rusty. So hopefully he continues to develop as time goes. Omar says he showed some good flashes throughout the game. I think he'll turn out to be a decent QB. He's talking about Crum on, what's it called? On San Diego State. Every time I hear the word Crum, I think of Harry Potter. I just watched Goblet of Fire. So remember Crum, the Bulgarian guy? Anyways. RJ, Rupert, the Reed brothers both played well. Gabe Reed showed up well. I think Gilmore will be a good player, but no more muffed punts. Yeah, I'm with you. That's exactly how I feel about Gilmore. It's like, yeah, he'll be a good player, but, the leash is short now. It's like you've already done a couple runs where it's like, hey, get vertical, dude. Get 3 yards. Don't get a 1 yard loss. Like, I get you want to make a play and make your name, but don't be giving up yards to do so, right? Either way, I think he's going to be a great player. I just hope, we continue to just slowly, you can tell what Witt does. He takes these guys that he has hopes for and just gives them little by little. Dixon, I'm going to just talk about him one more time. I know he last night, 1 reception for 13 yards, and then he had 1 run for 22 yards. He needs more time on the field. Put this kid in, dude. He looks like he's ready to be a breakout star. Unless you're seeing something in practice that I just don't see, then I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Larry with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Larry's a huge supporter of the show. Comes on the video chat. He's here like every dang week, and he throws me a $10 super chat. Larry, too generous, man. Thank you so much. Let's see what we're talking about. Tony Altimore does a great Pac-12 show on YouTube. He does it on Voice of College Football. Plugging it in here. I hope it's okay. But the Utes get a lot of love there and great Pac-12 coverage. More than okay, Larry, especially with that $10 super chat. No, the Voice of College Football with Mark, I actually like that a lot of their shows too. Yeah, so that's awesome. Omar says I was talking about Crum. Yep, talking about Crum. I will check that show out though, by the way, Larry. Thanks for the heads up. Sorry. But anyways, Pac-12, the Pac-12 looked great yesterday, just to touch on that for a second, since we brought up a Pac-12 show. Let's look up the Pac-12. Is there a way to look at Pac-12's schedule from yesterday? Let's look at Pac-12 schedule and just see if we could So there were teams that didn't look great from yesterday, but there were also some teams that looked really great yesterday. Let me put this up here. So Pac-12 football from yesterday. So Oregon made a statement, and as Utes fans, we have to like that one even a little more because they did it against BYU. Oregon made a statement yesterday, dude. That was nuts, right? And then, Colorado State might be one of the worst teams in college football this year. They are looking really bad. But either way, great win for Washington State. They're starting to get a little bit of hype. I'm sure you guys are just like me. That it's Washington State is starting to get some real hype in the media. Tat says Oregon killed BYU. Yeah, honestly, that score doesn't tell the story. That's what I've been saying. That 41-20 is how the game ended, but there was a point where that game was 38-7, and then Oregon knew all they had to do was kind of run the clock out, and then bend don't break. So that really wasn't doesn't tell you the story of how dominant that game really was. I got to tell you, though, as much as I'm glad they beat BYU, I got my nervous meter for going into Autzen and playing Oregon went up a little bit. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I was a little more nervous than usual. That looked like a pretty damn good team. Larry said loved Oregon. Yeah, they looked good, dude. I think Bo Nix looks like he's starting to come into his own. And, as a team like us that has had our issues with running quarterbacks, a little scary. So hopefully – we start to, I don't know. I'm not that nervous, but still a little nervous. Omar says, now we just need to keep winning and put a hurting on Oregon later this season. Yeah. And I saw the ESPN poll come out this morning, and they had us at 14 still. But, I mean, they have us over a bunch of good 3-0 teams. I don't know if you guys saw that, but, they had us over Penn State. Maybe I'll find that here in a minute. Let me see if there's any other players I missed. Okay, so there are a couple players that I would just like to touch on that I'd like to see more from. It was brought up earlier with Jake, with Taekwon, that we do a lot of up the middle runs, and a lot of that's Ludwig. I think with Taekwon, he's great, right? The thing is, though, last night he had where is it? Taekwon, 16 carries for 59 yards for an average of 3.7 yards. So, it's a lot of those are up the gut, and those stats are a little. But think about it. He had the one big run for 20 yards. Outside of that, his average would have been pretty rough. That was a good run defense. I'm just saying I'd like to see Taekwon get, and I talked about it in the pregame before this game. I'd like to see Taekwon get more of those 5 to 8 yard runs, 7-yard runs, just kind of turn these little carries into bigger carries, because I think it goes a long way to help our team. Taekwon still looks good, and I like that it doesn't seem like the fumbles are a problem, but I would like, he's a big part of this offense, and this is, being pretty nitpicky to call out Taekwon here, but, I would like to see better. And in a minute here, I'll pull up the PFF grades, and we can take a look at those to see how everyone's doing. I'm pretty sure they're up from yesterday. And as you guys come into the video, I'll talk about another player in a second. Please do like the video. Helps get it out to more Utes fans. Also, comment down below. Join the chat. That's my favorite part about doing these live streams. And if you're a Utes fan and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Share this video wherever you want to share it. So next guy I want to touch on, RJ Hubert. For me, the eye test is not great with RJ. The PFF grades, from what I've seen, have not been great. Larry says Thomas runs more intentionally when the Utes are in the red zone. I would definitely agree with that. Even more like when we're in the 35, right? Like when we're in clearly their side of the field, you do feel like Taekwon cuts a little better, runs a little harder. I think he's like a guy. He knows how much hype is around his ability to get rushing touchdowns, and he really feeds into it, which is great. But I would like to see him be a little more consistent. So RJ Hubert, right? Let's pull back up the stats from last night. So there was honestly, I won't even pull up the stats for RJ because I don't think that's what tells the story for him. For me, one thing that was really bad was, I don't know if you guys saw this, was that open field tackle. It was earlier in the game, and it's RJ Hubert one-on-one against their running back, and their running back jukes RJ Hubert out of his shoes. I don't know if I'm the only one that saw how blaringly bad that was. Not to hate on the guy, I always like to preface these things where I want them to get better, but I thought that was concerning. My first thought was, if that's Cole Bishop hitting that hole, that's a tackle. If that's a lot of other guys, it's the tackle. That was pretty embarrassing. If you guys saw that play, especially when, this is a decent running team we're playing against in San Diego State, but I would like to see more out of him in that department. That was a little concerning for me. All right, and now let's go ahead and start talking about some of these PFF grades. I know it's a lot of you guys' favorite part of this channel, so let's pull them up. Larry says Hubert reminds me of Blecken, form tackling questionable at times as well as Reeds. Yeah, that's where I'm at with Hubert. I really think there's going to be some like as we get to better Pac-12 play, there's going to be some conversation around why is this guy consistently starting over other safeties if he doesn't start to figure it out. And that's not me trying to hate on a young guy that's trying to make his name. I'm just being real about it. That's his play has not been fantastic. And I've noticed in the PFF grades and I've noticed it with the eye test. And when both are showing up, that's a concern. Remick says, what a slow start. Got worried there. Yeah, I touched on that earlier, Remick. It was a slow start. It was a little concerning. There were times where you were like, why are we doing so poorly against SDSU on offense? Like, I remember posting on Twitter that it's like our offense does not look good. Defense is going to need to step up and make some plays. Then, like literally right after I posted that, our offense started looking the best it has all season. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. As you guys jump into the video, please do make sure you guys like the video. It goes a long way in helping grow the channel and get it out to more Utes fans. And if you guys feel so obliged, please do drop a super chat. And if you have a question you want to attach to the super chat, I am more than happy to spend a little extra time in your question. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in to the PFF grades. So that should be a lot of fun. Chase says the slow start was due to the 3-5-5 formation. I think you're saying you mean 3-3-5. 3-5-5 would be too many players on the field. But yeah, it was pretty confusing. Their D line was moving around a lot. Their linebackers were moving around a lot. So I agree. All right, now let's talk a little bit of PFF grades here. All right. So the first guy let's take a look at is going to be All League Wham Bam Cam. Thank you, ma'am. Rising. Let's take a look at the guy. All right, Cameron Rising. Ooh, damn. Do I have it on the screen here for you guys? Yeah, Cam Rising, 81.1 grade. I feel like when you consider the three games he played, to have an 81.1 right now is pretty damn awesome, dude. That's a really good grade. He's ranked number 58 in the country, but also don't forget that's everyone that's played anybody right now. So that's probably more like a top 20-ish grade. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Hey, Chase says, gonna laugh, but man, ASU looks so bad. Yeah, I haven't watched ASU, but like they lost to Eastern Michigan. They got Oklahoma State. I was surprised they hung in there so tough against them, but their numbers don't look good. I'll break it down this week as we head into this game. You know, if you guys are new to the channel, we do a pregame breakdown every week where I kind of deep dive into PFF grades on both sides of the field. We talk about it. We have a little bit of fun and really talk about if for me, this is what football is all about. Like, this is my favorite part of football is what's the personnel on both sides? What's the coaching on both sides? What are both sides trying to do? And what are they struggling with right now? And kind of how we can look ahead to the game plan. I feel like if you guys might agree with me, I feel like I called the game plan pretty damn well. I was close with the score. I said 38-13. It was 35-7. Damn, I didn't know that. Chase says Eastern Michigan rushed for 300 freaking yards against Arizona State. That's pretty wild, dude. That means we're gonna rush for 7,000 yards against them. And please do like the videos. You guys come in, comment in the chat, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are big Utah Utes football fans. But also, I posted a link in the chat. If anyone wants to hop on the video chat, have a little bit of a conversation here, hop on. I'm more than happy to have you. Just use that link, and then I'll bring you on. Just make sure you have decent Wi-Fi when I bring you on, please. And then if you do feel so obliged, there is an option to leave a super chat and attach a question to it. And I'll be more than happy to spend a little extra time on whatever you guys want to talk about. Omar says, about to look like our Stanford game last year. Hey, I would say, guys, let's not get too cocky there, right? We still have our own issues, right? We're not looking perfect. We looked really good at times during this game. We also had times in this game in the first quarter and every game in the first quarter that we've played this year where we struggled, right? So let's not get too cocky. I think we look really good right now, but I think we should still understand where we are, right? Chief Watts says, still looks weird on special teams without Britton Covey. Yeah, definitely a little odd. I feel like we're still trying to find. I mean, Vela looks pretty damn good, but he's definitely way different looking, like body type than Britton Covey. Britton Covey's like tall, Britton Covey's short and small and compact and wiry, where Devon Vele's long, tall, lanky, very athletic, but pretty quick with his feet for someone that's that tall. Larry says Emory Jones, then DTR will warm us up for Caleb Williams as far as a dual threat. I think that's a great way to look at it, Larry. That those guys will give us an opportunity to test ourselves against some decent running quarterbacks before we get to a guy that, honestly, last night Caleb Williams looked good, dude. It's funny. I noticed in the preseason when we were talking about our schedule, a lot of people were saying that that USC, that we should beat them. They're not going to click fast enough. I said that USC was my most concerning game. I thought we were going to beat Florida pretty handily. I was surprised we got beat by Florida, but they looked good when we played them, and then they just looked terrible from there on out. But USC looks good. We're gonna need this offense. The good thing is it's middle of the year. And they're already looking tuned up. And I feel like we'll get a couple more games, kind of like what Larry said, to kind of fine tune our skills before we get there. Chase says, as an update for Clark Phillips came out, has an update for Caleb. Clark Phillips came out yet? No, not that I know of. Also, Diabate should play next week. That's cool. Honestly, dude, I'm not a super big Diabate fan. Like, if you guys follow this channel, not hating on the guy, but I'm not a super big Diabate fan. I think we looked really good without him. Take from that what you will. And then Tat says Vele 6'5". Yep, Vele is a tall, lanky, big, athletic guy. Utah Out says, since you're on Cam's PFF page, do you think he is an NFL ready QB? Seems like he has a difficult time getting through progressions, and he has been a little off. Still playing well though. I think I think it's a good question. Is he NFL ready? I think you're going to know by the end of the season. I think we've seen really big flashes, but there's still questions with Cam. Why is the first quarter so bad every game? Why is that a thing? So we'll see as that moves forward. Jimmy Emerson says, go Utes. Nice game. Absolutely. Heck of a game by the Utes. All right. And now let's go to the next position. Wide receivers. I wonder if our wide receivers bumped up a bit after that game. I feel like they did a pretty dang good job. All right. All right, Vele bumped up quite a bit to a 67.2. Solomon Enos still at a lower. He had some pretty, I think it was a 52 heading into this game. So he took a jump up to 67. Oh, funny enough, and I think Vele was a 62 heading into this game, and he took a jump up to a 67. I really like where Vele is right now at the 67 grade. I think that, camera's looking a little fuzzy. Okay, there we go. I think that's kind of what you need. You need one guy that's, a decent grade. That's kind of what Britton Covey was for us last year. Not an insane PFF grade, but pretty good. I'm surprised Vele is so low, but I'm sure a lot of that's just, remember, this is taking the sum of your season. It's not just the one game. It's looking at all the games that year. All right, let's go ahead and see how these running backs did. Kind of sad that we got Chris Curry out for the year now, but let's take a look here. So, yeah, I'm not shocked that Tavion's grade went down a little bit. He went down to a 68.4, and I think Mekhi Bernard's about where he was last week. So with that, they're both good players, and that was a very good run defense. I think that's unquestionable. They were a really good run defense, and I think our run game did pretty dang well. I think it was 173 yards or 174 yards against them was the final number rushing. So that's pretty damn good. And, we threw for 224, so just under 400 total yards in that game. And then let's take off the snap count. And damn, Chris Curry was looking good, huh? Sad he's gone. Love that Jalen Glover's there, huh? That's on 28 plays. I mean, that's not a tiny, tiny sample size. That's averaging a little over 9 plays a game. And for him to be averaging, well into the 70s like that, that's a really good sign. And then let's go ahead and move down to tight ends. We don't have any fullbacks. Let's take a look at our tight end room. Who's doing well here? And as you guys jump into the video, as I pull this up, please do make sure you guys like the video. It helps to get it out to more Utes fans. I know sometimes it's like, should I like this video or should I not? I mean, why the heck not, guys? If you want to support the channel, it goes a long way. Comment down below also if you guys want me to spend a little extra time talking about one player, if you're tuning in late. I've talked about a lot of guys, but maybe I missed someone that you want me to touch on. Okay, so I think this is kind of eye-opening. So Dalton Kincaid and Brent Keithy, the run block grades went down quite a bit after that game. That was a good run defense, like I said, but check this out. Like the receiving grades both look really good for both those guys, but the run blocking grades went down quite a bit, and so their overall grades went down quite a bit. I'm sure Coach Witt is going to get on people about that. If you want to, it's just like on defense. Like if you want, that's kind of Utah football. It's like if on defense you want to play, I don't care how good you can cover. You got to be able to tackle. On offense, if you want to play, I don't care how good of a receiver you are. You got to be able to block. I kind of think that's the motto. Does anyone know if Curry could get a medical red shirt? I am not sure. I really don't know the answer to that, but I would love to find out if anyone else knows that information. Villasoni Koto Balavu, love the Utes. Hey, we love the Utes too, man. Make sure you like the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. We do Utes content all the time. All right, so let's move to the next position. Have I not had the PFF grades up? Oh, sorry about that, guys. If you guys didn't see this, yeah. So those are the tight end grades. Let's take off the snap minimum. Logan Kendall with 56 snaps. I like that his run blocking grade didn't go down much. It went down a little bit, but against a team that really does well against rushing offenses, I like that. Logan Kendall, it's pretty clear what his purpose is this year, like what he's been brought in here to do. And I think that the good thing is that's what we thought he was going to be, just a hammer. Logan Kendall is one of my favorite players on this damn team. But anyways, let's move to the next group. The offensive line, they had a struggle at the beginning, huh? I wonder what these grades are going to look like. I could see them being a little higher than they were, but I could also see them being significantly worse. So Paul Miley, 65.1, continues to have a great pass blocking grade, dude. He's had that all season into the 80s, 84.3 grade. That is an awesome grade, but also continues to struggle with the run. I'd really like to see that go up. And I'm sure his coaches are getting on him about it. But that's awesome. Paul Miley, very good center. I don't think any of those other guys played this week. So now let's take a look at the guards. I feel like the guards, in my remembrance, they played pretty well. Let's take a look here. Okay. Keaton Bills, baby. A 70.3 grade, 90.5 receiving grade. Not sure how that happened. But the pass block grade, very good with 86.4. And run block grade, below average, but serviceable. Why does our offensive line struggle to run block so early in the season? And then like last year, it was like they struggled. And then once it clicked, they were flying. Michael Mokafisi, though, that's not great. That neither one of those grades is very good. I hope to see him take a step. He's right now the number 417 guard in the country. Still early in the year, so a lot of that could be matchup based. But the great thing is we got Tanoa Togiai right here. Not a great run block grade, but a very good pass block grade. So, we got a good backup, put some pressure on Mokafisi. But let's go ahead and move to the tackles next. Braden Daniels. I know for me, I've been watching him, and he's struggled a little to start the year. Let's see how he's doing. Okay, so he's stepping up a little bit. Pass blocking grade still looks really good. Run blocking grade still below average. Kind of the exact opposite, but not as much high end. Lau Maya is a guy that I am a little disappointed in how he's starting this season, huh? Like he was one of my most excited guys. He's a good run blocker, at least above average run blocker, but pretty rough pass blocking grades. I mean, you got to, and I notice it when I'm watching the game. I don't always look where the number is, but just reflecting back on the games I've watched, that a lot of the pressure comes off the right tackle spot on the pass plays. He'll just get beat, and he had the holding penalty. So hopefully he turns that around. Still a guy I've got a lot of faith in. So don't stress there. Let's just hope it gets better. And if you guys haven't already, as we move on to the Utah Utes defense PFF grades, please do like the video. It really helps grow the channel and get it out to more Utes fans. And engage, guys. Tell me what you guys are thinking about these grades. You think any of these are wrong? Do you guys feel like there's a certain player who's doing better or doing worse than the PFF grades show? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Clark Phillips, his grades went up in this one. I think he was a 68 last week. So he went up to a 70.4 with a 66.3 run defense grade and a 70.1 coverage grade. That is really awesome to see. Malone Mattielli, this is really awesome, huh? I'm pretty happy to see him getting up there, right? Number 15, he gets in there a good amount. I love that he's getting in there and he's, holding his own, 66.7. And what we got to really love is that the good grades are coverage and run defense. The pass rush really isn't that important for a corner. Travis Broughton struggling a little against the run here, but slightly below average in coverage. So I think you'd like to see him definitely step up there. Larry says tight ends are rated too low, in my opinion. Yeah, I think they're doing really well receiving, but I'm sure think about the two teams we've played, right, and who they're run blocking against. So we had the SUU game, but outside of that, it's Florida, which was a bunch of animals on defense, and then San Diego State, which is a great run defense team. So I agree. I'd like to see them rated higher, but I think a lot of that is who have you played? Like, I'm sure there's guys that could play those, great run defenses and come out with like 30 PFF grades, if that makes sense. So any other guys? Oh, Zamaya Vaughn. Damn, I saw him last night. Didn't you guys? He was off the damn charts. Zamaya Vaughn was. He kept waving his finger like, no, don't throw here, dude. I was pretty impressed with him last night. Definitely a guy I would not mind to see rotate in a little more. And if he's the guy filling in for Clark Phillips while Clark Phillips is out, definitely not a bad look. I mean, a 73.9 coverage grade, 74.0 overall grade, and a pretty decent run defense grade in a 66.4 on 29 snaps. So not a tiny sample size there. So definitely a guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. He's number 16. I hope to see him continue to progress. Let's actually take a second. Dude, Zamaya Vaughn, what a beast. I was really impressed last night, dude. So I just want to take a second. He's only a sophomore, so he's not even draft eligible till 2025. So, in 2020, a very good grade of 74.5, 2021, a serviceable grade of 62.1. So hopefully he can stay in those high 60s and 70s and become a playmaker. Like I'm actually pretty excited after looking at that little more information about him there. All right, and now let's move on to the safeties. So this is a grade I'm a little worried how low RJ Hubert is going to be. He didn't look great to me last night. So yeah, so you can tell why he's in there. He's a good coverage safety, but look at this, guys. I mean, that's wild. A 29.0 run defense grade. That's a liability, dude. Straight up. Like that means, and that's been there every week, dude. It has been low 30s and in the 20s. I mean, 20s is like that means like 9 times out of 10, if you have to tackle someone, you're missing the tackle. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but it's like more than half the time, if you're missing a tackle or if you have to make a tackle, you're missing it, which is really bad, dude. Honestly, not trying to hate on the kid. Hope he improves, but I would have this guy, let's not shy away from him with some tackling drills this week. I know we don't want to see people get injured, but let's get this guy out there. Put him up against Tavion, put him up against Mekhi Bernard, and until he can get a tackle on those guys reasonably well, like don't let him off the field. Just keep putting him out there. Sione Vaki, I've seen him flash a couple times. I think he was the one that forced the fumble. That was pretty awesome. Bryson Reeves, Clayton Isbell's gotten in there on 38 snaps. Definitely need to get that run defense grade up. Coverage, that's weird because Clayton Isbell, his highlights were really good run defense, and you thought he would struggle maybe a little in coverage while being really good at run defense. So little surprise there. So now let's go ahead and move into the linebackers. Linebacker grades. I'm going to pull them up here for Utah. I think we might see some linebackers. Yeah. Oh, damn, dude. I said it. I was like, Karina Reed really looked good last night. That's funny. That was one of the guys I give a shout out to at the beginning of this video. If you guys go back and watch. Good for you, Karina. Damn, dog. 80.1 pass rush grade and an 83.7 coverage grade with a 69.6 run defense grade. That is awesome, dude. That guy was balling. Like that's awesome, dude. I remember I talked about him going into the year, and maybe I downplayed him a little bit, but I said, we're expecting him to take a jump. Like we saw a lot of inconsistency. So I really hope he keeps it real consistent and can keep up, a grade even in the realm of that. I mean, that's a really good 83.6 is like, is that the best grade on the team so far that we've looked at? I don't think anyone else has a higher grade than that. We went through the whole offense and like half the defense already. So that is awesome though. Good for Karina Reed. Larry says, wish Nate Ritchie was here another year. Bishop and Ritchie, solid safety tandem. I mean, I think whatever we got to do at safety, RJ Hubert needs to figure it out. Like it's got to be like, if I'm the coaches, I'm like, if I have another, just embarrassingly bad missed tackle on live television, I'm gonna lose it. That's how I would feel, dude. Like at least make some freaking contact. If the guy rips through you, at least slow him down. Damn, like when you're just getting juked in the open field, type of stuff's just embarrassing, dude. Chase, a young guy who should be excited, we should be excited. He just needs a little more time. Samote Pepe. Oh, that's a great observation, dude. I noticed Pepe. He's number 77, I believe, on defense, interior defensive lineman. He looks pretty damn good. He looks big too, but he looks pretty damn good. Travis Broughton was there at corner. He did not. The grades weren't great. Nothing too terrible, but he definitely needs to step it up a little. Jimmy says, Nate Ritchie will be amazing. Can't wait. All right. Chase says, I'd give Isbell a chance. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there was some other guys out there grading better than Isbell, so who knows? Muhammad Diabate continues to struggle here, rough in coverage. I like that he's doing well against the run, but, I almost feel like it was kind of a good thing that he was injured. Not that an injury is ever good, but it was almost a good thing that he was injured right before the San Diego State game, because that's the game where he could have been a liability. He really struggled in run defense last year. And, when we factor these games, guys, like for Diabate, half that run defense grade is against SUU. Like, don't forget about that. All right, so now looking at the interior defensive line, Junior Tafuna, solid grade at a 64.3. Considering how much hype he had coming into the season, you'd like a little more, but definitely not bad, right? Not a bad grade. Let's check out Pepe. Oh, Peppa Pig. That is awesome, dude. Damn, we were just talking about him. Hot damn, son. 79.1 grade on 31 snaps. That's a decent sample size. 82.9 run defense. Not a very good pass rush grade, but he's got a 60 coverage grade. How big is this guy, dude? 6'3", 300, and he's got a 60 coverage grade. It's a little wild. Hey, well, if you guys love Pepe, make sure you like the video, right? Peppa Pig, dude. Running it up. And then who else? Keanu Tanuvasa, looking like a really good grade there. 74.3. Sorry, I got my ring light right here. That's why you guys keep seeing me move my head around. All right, awesome. Oh, but that honestly, just to touch on that one more time, Tanuvasa and Peppa, I'd really like to see them get some more reps. I'm excited to check out the edge defenders too. I think we're going to see some good stuff there. I'm hoping after that game. I felt like they really, really shined in that game. Kafusi, Larry says Kafusi has had issues getting off blockers. I've noticed that as well. Chase, true freshman. True freshman Peppa. Is Peppa a true freshman? That's awesome, dude. That's a really good sign. He's big too, and I noticed his legs look a little small for his frame. So that means you get another year or two in the weight room, and then you can get him to be a real reliable guy. Jonah Ellis. I didn't shout him out earlier, but he's a guy I wanted to mention. I mentioned him on Twitter last night. Really nice, hard hit in the open field tackle last night on that little dump off to the running back. He comes up and just rocks him and gets the tackle. And a guy, honestly, anytime I see him on the edge and I know they're probably going to run, I'm like, run it to his side, dude. I dare you, because he holds the edge so damn well in the run game. Chase, I think you're saying that Peppa is a freshman. That's why you said yeah. Run it to Jonah Ellis' side because he just holds the edge so damn well. Lander Barton as an edge rusher looking pretty damn good as well. Did you guys see Lander Barton last night on that hit on the freaking quarterback when he just got a free release? It was like a delay blitz, and he just went flying in on Crum and just rocked his damn world. That was a really nice play. I was really impressed by what I saw there. That Lander looks like, dude, he looks like he could be hitting a special level of talent. And this is kind of what I talked about with Lander, like as we go deeper into the season. And I said mid-season he'd be a starter, but he looks like he could be getting to be a really good player by mid-season, like really an impact guy. Connor O'Toole getting there, solid against the run. I'd love to see VanVillinger with the higher grade in this, but he actually struggled quite badly in the first two games. So to see him with that grade, I think he was in the low 50s, high 40s, or even worse heading into this game. So I think he actually had a pretty damn good grade. So good to see there. All right, but outside of that, guys, please do make sure you guys like the video. It helps get this out to more Utes fans. Seriously, I love growing this channel. And if you guys are anything like me, I love having something like this. Omar says, yes, Lander Barton hit was great. I was out of my seat. Yeah, dude, it was wild. I was getting hyped when he made that hit. But please do like the video, guys. And if you have any other questions, comment down below. I'm sure the community will answer whatever questions you have if I don't. But I love engaging with you guys. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. It helps get it out to more Utes fans. And, subscribe to the channel. It helps get me more content to you and let you know, when we go live and that sort of thing. But outside of that, guys, I am going to sign off. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. The pregame video for the Arizona State game and the breakdown will be coming out shortly. But outside of that, guys, hey, all love, go Utes, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.